The security officer leaned closer and said the words Aaron would never forget. "Sir, your daughter doesn't belong in first-class boarding." The entire line went silent. Aaron felt his daughter's small fingers tighten around his collar. He had already lost everything once. He wasn't about to lose his dignity in front of her too. The airport terminal was louder than Aaron remembered. Rolling suitcases rattled over tile floors. Overhead announcements echoed names of cities he'd never been to and would probably never afford to visit. The air smelled like coffee, metal, and impatience. His daughter, Lily, slept against his chest, her forehead still warm from the fever that had nearly broken him the night before. He had counted her breaths until dawn, afraid that if he closed his eyes, something terrible would happen in the silence. People passed them without seeing them. Or worse, seeing too much. A woman in a beige coat stared openly at Lily's pale face. She whispered to the man beside her, not quietly enough. "Why do people travel when their kids are clearly sick? That's irresponsible." Aaron pretended not to hear. He didn't know it yet. But one sentence from a stranger was about to change everything about this trip. The security line crawled forward. Lily stirred. "Daddy, are we going to the cloud place?" she murmured. Aaron smiled softly. "Yeah, baby. We're going to the cloud place." She relaxed again. The security officer glanced at their worn documents, then at Aaron's clothes. "You're in the wrong line," he said. Aaron frowned. "This is for families with medical clearance." The officer raised an eyebrow. "Sir, this line is for priority boarding." Aaron swallowed. "We were told." A man in an expensive jacket stepped forward impatiently. "Can we hurry this up? Some of us have meetings to catch." The officer looked at Aaron again. His eyes hardened. "Step aside." People stared. Some with annoyance. Some with judgment. One person even sighed loudly, as if Aaron's presence alone was an inconvenience. He moved to the side. Lily's eyes opened. "Daddy, did we do something wrong?" Aaron's chest tightened. "No," he said gently. "We didn't do anything wrong." But deep down, he wondered if the world would ever stop treating them like they did. They waited. 10 minutes. Then 20. The officer finally waved them through without apology. On the other side of security, Lily began coughing again. A flight attendant noticed and frowned. "Sir, is your child contagious?" Aaron shook his head. "No, she's recovering from treatment." The attendant's eyes flicked to his bag, then to Lily. "You'll need to keep her quiet during the flight." Aaron nodded. Again. He always nodded. What Aaron didn't know was that the man who would humiliate him next was about to beg for his help before this day was over. As they reached the boarding gate, a sleek black sedan pulled up outside the glass doors. A tall man stepped out, speaking sharply into his phone. "Tell them I don't care about excuses. I want results. Now." He ended the call and glanced at Aaron and Lily. His eyes lingered on Lily's tired face. "You shouldn't bring sick children into public places," the man said coldly. "It's irresponsible." Aaron froze. "She's not contagious," he replied. The man scoffed. "People like you always say that. People like you." The words burned. Aaron said nothing. He walked away. But the damage was already done. Aaron didn't know it yet. But that man's life was about to fall apart in the same building where his daughter would be healed. And when that moment came, the world would finally see who Aaron really was. As the plane lifted into the clouds, Aaron pressed his forehead to the window and whispered something no one could hear. I promised her mother I wouldn't fail her. And I'm running out of ways to keep that promise. The cabin lights dimmed. The engines hummed with a low, constant sound that felt like the heartbeat of something much larger than Aaron's fear. Lily slept with her head on his arm, her breaths shallow but steady. Aaron didn't sleep. He stared at the seat in front of him, lost in memories he tried not to revisit. 3 years earlier, he had been a different man. Back then, his morning started with meetings and deadlines. His hands smelled like coffee and printer ink, not disinfectant and hospital soap. He had worn suits that fit him properly, and people had listened when he spoke. Then the call came. A winter road. A patch of ice. A truck that couldn't stop in time. By the time Aaron reached the hospital, his wife was already gone. The doctor had spoken carefully, gently, as if words could soften the weight of absence. Aaron didn't hear most of it. He only remembered Lily asking where her mother was. And not knowing how to answer without breaking something inside himself. That night, Aaron learned something painful. Grief doesn't leave. It just waits quietly for you to be alone. The months that followed were a blur of funeral arrangements, paperwork, and nights where Lily cried herself to sleep in his arms. He tried to keep his job. He really did. But meetings didn't pause for daycare pickups. Deadlines didn't care that Lily had nightmares. His supervisor tried to be understanding at first. Just get through this rough patch, they said. The rough patch never ended. When Aaron missed one too many days to sit beside Lily's hospital bed during her first major relapse, the understanding faded. He resigned before they could fire him. At first, he told himself it was temporary. He picked up work where he could. Cleaning offices at night. Delivering packages before dawn. Anything that paid enough to keep the lights on and Lily fed. He learned how to stretch groceries into 3 meals. How to fix broken toys with tape. How to smile when his daughter asked for things he couldn't afford. And he learned how to accept being invisible. Aaron wasn't poor because he was lazy. He was poor because he chose to stay when everyone else left. The plane landed hard. Lily stirred, coughing softly. At the arrival gate, the same man from earlier stood near the exit, arguing with someone on his phone. I don't care if the board is unhappy, he snapped. My father's condition is more important than their opinions. Aaron heard the words and felt a flicker of something unexpected. Sympathy. The city outside the airport was colder than he expected. Wind cut through his thin coat. He pulled Lily closer and stepped into the line for a taxi. The man in the tailored coat cut in front of him without looking back. Aaron said nothing. He had learned that speaking up often cost more than it gained. The taxi ride to the hospital was quiet. Lily watched the buildings blur past the window. Daddy, is Mommy in the clouds? She asked suddenly. Aaron swallowed. I think so. Does she see me when I'm brave? He smiled. All the time. Aaron didn't know how long he could keep pretending to be strong. But for Lily, he would try forever. The hospital loomed ahead like a glass mountain. Bright. Cold. Unforgiving. Inside, the floors reflected the overhead lights so clearly that Aaron could see his own tired face staring back at him. They approached the reception desk. The receptionist scanned their documents, her fingers moving quickly over the keyboard. "This insurance won't cover advanced care without pre-approval," she said. Aaron nodded. "We were told to come here anyway." She sighed. "You'll have to wait." They waited. Lily's breathing grew uneven again. Aaron paced the hallway, whispering stories into her ear to distract her from the pain. He told her about cloud castles and invisible dragons that guarded brave girls. People passed them without stopping. One nurse glanced at Lily, then at Aaron's worn clothes, then looked away. If help didn't come soon. Aaron was afraid this trip would become the moment he failed his promise. Finally, a young doctor called their name. He scanned Lily's chart quickly. "You should have started the updated protocol weeks ago." "We did everything the clinic told us," Aaron replied quietly. The doctor paused. "Are you in healthcare?" Aaron hesitated. "I was." The doctor looked at him more closely now. "What was your specialty?" Aaron answered. The doctor's expression changed. That's the protocol we're using," he said slowly. "You helped write this." Aaron nodded. The room went silent. What the doctor realized in that moment was that the man everyone had ignored all day might be the only reason Lily survived. And outside that room, the man who humiliated Aaron was about to lose everything. And outside that room, the man who humiliated Aaron was about to lose everything. The man who humiliated Aaron at the airport dropped to his knees in the hospital hallway. And the only person who could help him was the single dad he had looked down on. The alarms came suddenly. A sharp, urgent sound cut through the quiet hum of the hospital corridors. Nurses moved quickly. A stretcher rolled past Aaron's door, wheels squeaking against the polished floor. Aaron stepped into the hallway just as the man from the airport burst through the glass doors of the emergency wing. His tailored coat was gone. His tie hung loose around his neck. "My father collapsed," he said to no one in particular. "I need someone now." The same receptionist who had asked Aaron to wait earlier now struggled to keep up with the chaos. "Sir, please." "I don't care about procedures," the man snapped. "Do you know who I am?" Aaron watched from a distance. For the first time, the man looked small. Power means nothing when the person you love is dying in front of you. Doctors rushed past Aaron's door. The young doctor who had just spoken to him stopped abruptly when he heard the man's name. "That's the patient with the rare complication," the doctor muttered. "We need the specialist protocol, now." The doctor hesitated, then looked back at Aaron. "You're still here?" he asked. Aaron nodded. "My daughter's stable." The doctor lowered his voice. "We need your input. His father's condition, it's reacting badly to standard treatment." Aaron's eyes flicked toward the man in the hallway, his face pale with fear. "I can help," Aaron said quietly. The doctor swallowed. "Will you?" Aaron didn't answer immediately. The man caught sight of him then. Recognition sparked, followed by disbelief. "You," the man said. "You were at the airport." Aaron nodded. The man's voice wavered. Can you help my father? The apology that should have come earlier was. He remembered Lily shrinking against his chest. I'll help, Aaron said finally. Not for the man. For the father who lay unconscious behind the doors. Inside the emergency room, machines beeped steadily. The older man's breathing was labored, his skin ashen. Aaron studied the monitors, the medications, the notes scribbled hastily on the chart. You need to adjust the dosage, he said to the doctor. And stop the current infusion. It's worsening the reaction. The doctor hesitated only a second before nodding. They worked quickly. Nurses moved at Aaron's direction without question now. The room shifted around him as if the hospital itself had decided who was in charge. Minutes stretched. Then the older man's breathing eased. The monitor steadied. A fragile calm settled over the room. In that moment, the single dad who had been ignored all day became the most important person in the building. Outside, the man leaned against the wall, his face buried in his hands. When Aaron stepped out, he looked up. You saved him, the man said hoarsely. Aaron shook his head. The team did. I just helped guide them. The man laughed bitterly. I thought money could fix anything. Aaron said nothing. The man straightened slowly. I owe you an apology. For what I said. For how I treated you and your daughter. Aaron glanced back toward Lily's room. She heard you, he said softly. The man flinched. I'm sorry, he said. Truly. But forgiveness isn't given in a moment. It's earned in what you do next. The man hesitated. If there's anything I can do. Aaron interrupted gently. There is. The man looked at him, surprised. Aaron's voice was calm, steady. Treat the next person you see like they matter, even if they look like me. The hallway fell quiet. Aaron thought the hardest part was over. He was wrong. Because the truth about his past was about to be revealed to everyone in that hospital. And it would change how they saw him. The nurse read Aaron's name aloud from the chart. And the entire hallway went silent. The corridor outside Lily's room filled with soft footsteps. Nurses whispered to one another. The young doctor who had first spoken to Aaron stood near the door, flipping through notes as if he were seeing them for the first time. Your name, the doctor said slowly, it's on the research paper. The one that changed how we treat this condition. Aaron shifted his weight. It was a team effort. The doctor shook his head. You were the lead author. A nurse covered her mouth. Another glanced at Aaron, then back at Lily, her eyes wet. The man everyone had judged by his clothes had once saved thousands of children he would never meet. Word traveled fast in a place built on urgency. Within minutes, people who had walked past Aaron all day now looked at him differently. The receptionist who had made him wait stood quietly by the desk, her hands folded. I'm sorry, she said when he passed. I shouldn't have assumed. Aaron nodded. He didn't linger on the apology. His eyes stayed on Lily's door. Inside, Lily stirred. Her breathing was steadier now. Color had returned to her cheeks. Daddy, did the clouds go away? She asked. He smiled. They're still there. We just flew through them. She grinned, satisfied. The man from the airport stood at the end of the hall, uncertain where to place himself. He waited until Aaron stepped out again. "My father is stable," he said. "The doctor said, what you suggested made the difference." Aaron inclined his head. The man hesitated. "I've spent my life believing the world made sense if you had enough money to bend it. Today, I learned it only makes sense if you have enough humility to listen." The man who once spoke with certainty now spoke with regret. There was a pause. Then the man continued, quieter. "I can't undo what I said to your daughter. But I can try to be better because of it." Aaron studied him. "That's all anyone can do." The man nodded, then turned away, as if carrying something heavier than before. Later that night, as the hospital quieted into a rhythm of distant beeps and hushed footsteps, the young doctor returned to Lily's room. "We'll keep her overnight," he said gently. "But she's responding well. You did the right thing bringing her here." Aaron exhaled a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "Thank you," he said. The doctor hesitated. "If you ever wanted to come back to medicine, we could use someone like you." Aaron looked at Lily, asleep now, her small hand curled around the edge of the blanket. "Maybe one day," he said. "Right now, she needs me more. Some heroes don't return to their old lives. They build new ones where love is the job." Morning light crept through the blinds. Snow fell softly outside the hospital windows, quieting the city. Aaron sat in a chair beside Lily's bed, exhausted but steady. He thought about the airport. The stairs. The words. The way people had decided who he was before he ever spoke. He thought about how easily the world overlooks the quiet strength in ordinary places. Lily woke and smiled at him. "Daddy, did I do good?" He laughed softly. "You did amazing." She closed her eyes again, comforted by the sound of his voice. "Sometimes the moment that breaks you is the same moment the world finally sees you." Aaron rested his head back against the wall. For the first time in years, he didn't feel invisible. He felt seen. Not for what he once was. Not for what he had lost. But for what he had become. A father who stayed. A man who chose love over pride. A strength that didn't need to announce itself. We judge people by what we can see. Their clothes. Their silence. Their tired eyes. But the strongest stories are the ones we never ask about. Sometimes, the person you overlook is the one holding the answer you need. And sometimes, the quietest people are carrying the heaviest weight, without ever asking to be noticed.